So, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the webinar from Byte Academy in Nestria. So, this webinar will be about a step-by-step guide on Python virtual environment setup. So, we will begin in some minutes. Thank you. Hi, everyone. A warm welcome to the event once again. Before we begin, you can join our Nestria Discord server, where I will be sharing the files that I will be using over here, including this presentation file. And in the end of this event, I will give a quick tour of the Nestria Discord server. So the link to download the Discord application and the link to join the Nestria Discord server, both are present in the description box below, and it will also be shared in the chat box. So let's start with today's topic. So first we will look at the agenda for today. So first we will try to understand what is Python environment and its purpose. All right, for the absolute beginners who are part of this webinar and wants to understand what is the term called Python environment and why it's we need to set this up, right? So I will be explaining that as well. Second, we will move on to the Python virtual environment. Okay, so before we set up the Python virtual environment, we will try to understand when and why do we need it. Okay, why there is a extra setup or there is an extra virtual environment setup required, and in which case it is important. And then we will see a hands-on session about how to create the Python virtual environment with an inbuilt tool that comes with Python itself. All right, we need not to install any external package for that. Next, we will configure the Python environment with VS Code. Basically, we will going to have two different types of environment, right? So one is the Python default environment, or which is called as a global environment. And second, we will also going to look at this virtual environment. So how to switch between these two. All right, whenever you want from VS Code, you can use the global environment, and whenever you want, you can just go ahead and use this virtual environment that we are going to set up today for any particular project. I will be showing you how to configure that as well. And then in the end, we will be discussing about some best practices that we can follow so that, it will not create any problem for our project. And importantly, it will not create any conflict regarding the packages that has been installed in our system. Okay. So first, I will just go into the system and let's see how we can set up the project, what is the Python environment, and what it is purpose. Just give me a second. Let's go to the environment first. All right. So this is the folder where I am going to work with the Python virtual environment as well as the Python global environment. All right. We will try to understand what is that, okay, with some example. So first of all, let's try to understand what is Python environment, okay. So basically, our computer doesn't have an understanding of any external programming language that we will going to be code on. All right. Let's say our computer understand a very specific type of language or instructions. Fine. But when we want to provide some extra instruction from outside, or when we want to basically program our computer, what is basically programming is? Programming is basically, you are providing some instruction to your computer that you can just, create a file, create a folder. Maybe you want to create some variables, put some data in it. You want to manipulate that data. Let's say you have an array of data and you want to delete some of the elements from that array, right? So all these instructions that, or all these operations that the computer needs to perform, you have to use some sort of programming language in order to give those instructions to our computer, right? Now, the kind of language our computer inherently understand, it's not possible for us to go, ahead and learn that specific language or any other low-level languages, all right, when we are working at the application level. So at application level, we usually use high-level programming languages. Python is one of the, most famous high-level programming languages. Okay. Now, this Python language, obviously, as this is a separate software or separate, set of instruction and a language by itself, our computer doesn't inherently understand that. We need to install some software, or we need to give some, support to our computer so that our computer will start to understand the instructions written in Python. So in the real world scenario, what really happens when, let's say, there are two person A and person B, and the person A being the computer and person, B, let's say us, the programmer, we talk in very different language. We need a translator, right? So that I can speak the language that I am aware of, and the computer can understand the language that the computer is aware of, right? So this intermediary, part, the translator part, will be played by this Python interpreter or this Python software, okay? And as we are installing a software, okay, separate software that is giving the capability to the Python, to the computer to understand Python, it's kind of, and also along with that, there are so many other, support software comes along with it. All right. So altogether, we are creating basically an environment for our computer where, within that particular environment, our computer will be able to interpret the Python code. Okay. Not out of that, outside of that environment. So we call this as a Python environment. Okay. Now here, when you will just install the Python software, okay, so it will globally install the Python software, you can say, or interpreter, you can say, or translator. Anything, any term will be applicable over here. So that Python interpreter will be present globally. What does it mean by it will be present globally? From any portion of the computer, you will be able to invoke that particular translator. Let me quickly show you that. So if I open command prompt here, so this is a way to open command prompt at any place, any folder you want. So you can just, write here CMD, and the command prompt will be open right over here. Or there is another option as well. So you can hold down the shift key and press right click, and you will see this particular option, open command window here. Okay. Usually, if you are doing only right click, that option won't be visible. Right? So a more convenient way is just writing CMD over here, and it will open the command window. Right? Now, this command window has opened, at this particular directory, right? Now the Python interpreter is installed in somewhere else, somewhere else in the C directory, right? Now, Globally installed means the Python interpreter I can invoke. It doesn't matter which folder I am present in. From there, I will be able to invoke the Python interpreter. Let's see whether I can do it or not. So I will write Python and minus version. Basically, I'm asking that Python, please tell me the version, whatever version you are at right now. So Python is telling 3.10.6. But the main thing to notice over here is that I can invoke the Python interpreter even from this particular window, right? Or in this particular directory. Okay, so this is the proof that Python is installed globally. Fine. Now, the next part of our agenda is, try to understand about the Python virtual environment. So there is some extra term called Python virtual environment. So when it will be required. Now, imagine that there is a project going on. All right. So let me close this and open the project for you. So let's say this is a project one, some sort of project going on. All right. So let me go inside and I can launch the VS Code over here. VS Code is my, just a second. Let me share my entire screen so that VS Code will also be visible. All right, I hope the VS Code is visible now. All right, so usually I use VS Code as my primary code editor. Now at this position, I can just create a file, any Python file, all right, let's say test.py, and inside I can write quick code print hello world. All right, and then what I'm going to do after that, I'm going to import some package called requests. Fine. So this is a package that has the capability of making some HTTP requests. Let's not focus on that, but let's focus on one part, that this particular package, this is an external package and that is already installed in my system. Okay, along with the Python. Later, I have, after installing the Python, I have installed this particular package. Right. Now, if I run this particular code, so I can go to the terminal, new terminal, the terminal will be opened right over here. Okay, you can see the Python project. Now, right now, I can invoke, as the Python interpreter is available globally to me. All right, so I can just invoke the Python interpreter Python and I can press tab. So it will just, fill up the file name for me. Okay, and I can press enter. Okay. Give me a second. I didn't save the file, right? Right. So what just happened before? After writing the code, we're supposed to save it. Otherwise, the Python is reading the old version. As soon as I have saved it, so over here you can see as I have run this code, no output was being shown, right? Because after writing the code, I didn't save the file. Okay. So after saving the file, the output is visible now. Fine, great. Now after that, obviously the package has been imported. Okay, I have imported that package in this particular project, and obviously no printing is going to happen over here because it's just an import statement. Fine, but the thing is, Python is not throwing any sort of error because Python can find out this particular module and it has imported it. That's the main thing to understand. Now imagine that there is another project that is going on, right? So let's say this is the project one, right? So let's say there is another project, say project two. Now here, inside project two, also I can do the same thing. I can just go inside, launch my VS Code over there. Okay, I can write some bunch of code and I just can call this Python global Python interpreter. Okay, just remember this one, global Python interpreter, and I can just ask my Python to run that code and it will run fine. But imagine a scenario where you want to work in a legacy project. All right, some project which uses a little bit older version of Python. Let's say if I check again, Python minus version. So it is giving me the Python version 3.10.6. Now the packages that will be installed when I'm installing some package, let's say this requests package. Okay, I can use the pip install requests. Okay, so what will happen? The latest version of the requests package will be installed in my system. Fine, but as I said, let's say the project 2 is a legacy project. It's an old project, all right? The code has been written over there. It's an old version of Python, maybe Python 3.3, okay? So one thing also we need to think of it over here about the packages. So that is a complete project, right? In that project, we might have used 10, 20 packages. So as that project was written in Python 3.3, the packages that we have used over there will be of the old version of these packages. Maybe requests package has been used over that project as well, but the version of that package will be absolutely different. Fine. That will be an old version. It could be an old version, right? Now, at that time, now what happens in the projects? So if we are asking our Python 3.10.6, this version to run the old project code, it might throw some errors. Okay, because what happens with time, the package developers, they update some functionality, they update some specification of many sort of functions. So in the Python, in the version of Python 3.10.6 and maybe the request version, I don't know, maybe let's say 2.10, over there, the function doesn't even exist. Okay. So our Python 3.10.6, if I'm asking my current Python to run that old project, Python will try to look for that function in that latest package of request, right? And it will throw an error because it will going to check for the maybe a function which is missing in this 3.10.6, which was present in 3.3. So this time my Python global interpreter, this 3.10.6 will going to throw me some error. Okay. And that is the reason we have some in order to work around this scenario where a company will be providing project and a project will be running for a very long time. In that case, for every project we create different Python interpreters. Fine. Or we create a virtual environment because it's like an environment inside another environment, right? So we call this as a Python virtual environment. Okay. I will be showing in a minute how we can create that, but let's understand the significance as we were doing. So over there, let's say the Python version that is required, we can do this 3.10.6, that's fine. But this module version, this requests module, I can just ask my Python to install the old version of this request module. Now, the main thing is here also I can do that. I can uninstall this requests module. Let's say current version is 2.10 for this requests module. And I can ask my Python that you please uninstall this, okay? And you install the old version, maybe 1.10. You install this particular version, but it will mess up my global settings, right? Maybe not always I don't want this. I only want this particular version of the requests package only when I am working on that particular project. Maybe another old project came where the request package that is required, it is maybe 0.10. Okay, just to say. In that case, again, I have to uninstall this package, right? If I am having only one environment, I have to uninstall this package also and install this package. Now, when I will come back to project 1, where I need 2.10, then again, I have to uninstall this and install this package. So it's very difficult, right, to manage the different projects. So if I am having only one environment where only one request package version can exist, either at a time it will 2.10 will exist or 1.10 will exist or 0.10 will exist. These three simultaneously cannot exist. Okay. So what is the solution or workaround? I can create some virtual environment. We can think of it as a separate environment where, let's say for project, let's say I am having two more projects, let's say project 2 and I'm having project 3. So I am going to create, so this project 1 is a very latest project, and this latest version of the request module is fine for it. So I am going to use this global Python interpreter or global packages that is already installed globally. I can use for this project 1. But this project 2 and project 3, little bit older projects, right? Legacy projects. So what I can do, I can create some two different environments for Python, which are called as virtual environment, and over there will be nothing present. Okay, it will be a complete new Python, a Python without any packages. So there, let's say I want to install for this particular project too, I want to install Python, sorry, not Python, request module 1.10. I can go ahead and do that. Now this will not going to affect this setup. That's the magical thing over here. That's the whole concept of this virtual environment. This will going to exist separately. This Python interpreter will also exist separately, and this Python packages also will exist separately. Similarly, I can just go ahead over here and install maybe request package 0.10. So this Python interpreter will exist separately, and this particular, obviously, the package will also exist separately. Fine. So this is the advantage and use of this Python virtual environment. Now let's quickly see how we can create Python virtual environment. So I will close this project, close this VS Code. Let's say this project 1 VS Code is, this project is very new, and I'm going to use the global settings. No problem with that. Project 2 is the old one, right? So I can just go inside the project 2. Okay. And over there, again, I can just run CMD right over here. Okay. Now comes to the good practices. It's a good practice that if we keep our virtual environment, close to our project. I'm not saying that you have to create inside the project folder, all right, somewhere very close to the project folder. Maybe over here also you could have created, but yeah, I prefer to create over here. Fine. Now, inside the project, we are going to use some inbuilt package that is already there. Now, one thing I would like to mention over here, there are some advanced packages, all right, present in Python nowadays, where you can, create the virtual environments, okay, and also manage some old packages very easily. There you need not to be, doing something very manual, right? But I just wanted to show you the one of the most simplest way of creating virtual environment, right? So I have chosen this method, and indeed I use this method as well. Okay, so I can invoke the Python interpreter. Okay, I can put a flag -m. So -m is basically a flag over here, and then I can call venv. Okay, so this venv will going to help us to create this virtual environment. Venv, as it's looks like it stands for virtual environment. All right, and then I have to mention the environment name. Let's say I am giving the name as environment for project 2. Fine. And I can just press enter, and it is preparing my virtual environment. All right, it will take some time. We give it some time. Let it finish. We will be knowing, our CMD will let us know when it is complete. Let's wait for some time. Great. So it is completed. It's very quick, very smooth. All right. So virtual environment has already been created. Now let's see what's the proof or how to use this environment. I will try to show the most easiest way to use this particular environment without running any script, without doing anything. All right. So VS Code will going to handle all those, background stuff. What I will do, just the way I did for project 1, I am going to do for project 2 as well. I will just right click over here, open VS Code. Okay. Right. Now over here, let's create a file. Let's say project2.py. Now this time, what I am doing, I am writing print. Same code I will write, hello world. After that, I will try to import requests package. Fine. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to terminal and open a new terminal. Now here, if you, okay, let me run the code first and then we will see what's happening. So I'm invoking Python and I am asking my Python to run this particular file. Okay? So it is inside this project folder. Inside the project folder, this p2.py is present, and I have run this. What has happened? Obviously, it has thrown some error. Let's understand why it is throwing some error. Right now, first of all, this particular line has run. We can see the output. Fine. After that, what it is saying, basically, ultimately, we can just look at the last line, what it is saying, and it is saying that no module named requests. What does it mean? It is not able to find any module name requests. Why is it so? Because in this project folder, I have placed my virtual environment. I've created my virtual environment, and you can see just before my folder address, this particular virtual environment name is present. It basically indicates, it's basically indicating that right now my new virtual environment's Python interpreter is interpreting this code. For that, this is not a problem, all right, print function, but it is having a problem to find out the request module because it doesn't even exist. As I say, this is a complete new Python. We have to install everything from scratch. Okay, so this, you can think of it as a very new, complete new Python. All right, here you can just install any version of the new packages that you want for this particular project. Okay, so this is how this virtual environment will be useful for us. Okay, now I would like to show you one more command where you can check what are the packages that has been installed so far. Okay, so we can write pip freeze and press enter, and it will going to show us what are the packages that has been installed. And obviously it is not showing any package name just because it is under this virtual environment interpreter or virtual environment Python version, which doesn't have any package. That is why it is throwing this error, right? So this is how you can create your virtual environment, and let's quickly install the package as well. Pip install requests. Let me spell it correctly. Right now it is collecting the package, installing the package. All right. So it has installed the package. Now this time let me try it. Okay. I am still inside my virtual environment. So let me quickly give it a try. So Python p2.py. Now this time it is not throwing me any error. Why it is not throwing me any error? It is running hello world, and after that it is successfully importing this requests package. Why is it so? Because just now I installed the requests package in this particular Python interpreter or in this particular environment, which is separate from the global environment. All right. So I can check that as well. So pip freeze. If I see, it has installed requests, and if you're thinking what are these are some support package that comes with requests. Okay, request is a major package. Basically it takes help from some other packages as well. So along with this request, some other packages also come into the picture. So another best practice that I would like to mention over here, whenever you are going for some project or when you're working on some project, you're supposed to remember the main package names. Like this, just like in my project right now, the main package is requests. So if I want to separately understand install this particular package, it might throw me error because of the version problem. Okay, so we will let that handle by pip. So we can just ask pip that you please install requests, maybe with this particular version that you want. Okay, and rest of the packages will be installed accordingly. Whatever version is required for this request, those packages will be automatically installed. Okay, this is how this virtual environment makes our life easier when we are working in multiple projects. And in multiple project, multiple version of the Python packages are required. Okay. So I hope this was helpful. Okay. One more thing, let me quickly show. If I read CMD, right now that virtual environment sign we cannot see over here, right? So right now, if I invoke my Python interpreter, it will be my global Python interpreter. Let's test it as well. So pip freeze. If I enter, can you see how many packages is installed? These are the packages that are part of my global Python module. All right. So these are the global packages that I am having right now. Okay, but my virtual environment is having only one package called requests. Fine, and obviously the support packages as well. Okay, this is how this virtual environment helps us to manage different projects, work on different projects simultaneously. All the different version of the modules, could be used in all the projects. Fine. I hope this session was helpful. So just give me a second. Let's go back to the presentation. Just give me a second. Okay, great. Let me share my screen quickly. All right. So this is our Nestria Discord server. All right. This is how the Nestria Discord server looks like. All right. So when you will join the Nestria Discord server, the link has been shared in the description box below. First, you have to download the Discord software, or you can use the web version of Discord as well. And from there, you can just use the Discord server link for this Nestria server. And you can just jump over here to this join a topic. And over there, you can select this, you can click on these particular buttons, which will help you to see all the channels available over here on this Discord server. If you don't select these channels, or if you don't click on these buttons, these channels won't be visible to you by default, right? So on this Discord channel, I will be available mostly on this data science resources, data science launch, and this JavaScript resources and JavaScript launch. Apart from that, you can also, drop your queries, your request on this Python launch. We have interview practice as well, Indian careers as well. You can check out the discussion that goes on over here. There are other trainers, there are other people who can help you with your careers and other subjects as well, right? Don't forget to join our Discord server. And I will be sharing the file in this. It was about the Python, right? So I will definitely going to share under this Python resources. Here you can see there are lots of Python resources that has been shared. Also today's presentation and the files and the commands I will be sharing over here as well. All right. So that's it, guys, for today. All right. Please subscribe our channel and don't forget to join this Discord server for Nestria. Thank you. Thank you for joining. Have a great day.